This right here is why you shouldn't listen to Western propaganda. People are really assuming that Ukraine has some sort of advantage since they're starting to enter Kursk, but this is the only amount of land that they've just so happened to be able to take. While this right here is how much land in Ukraine that Russia has managed to take since the beginning of this, in quotations, war. And I don't think you understand, okay? Hear me out on everything I'm about to say, okay? Regardless of what you want to think, Putin is not your enemy. I know it's hard to comprehend, right? And there's a lot of Western media that's edited to make Putin look weak. Let's keep in mind, okay, the US has given Ukraine tens of billions of dollars to only be able to do that. And Kursk, like you can see right here, Russia is only 8 miles out of. A very large and tactical city for Ukraine. And all this over here, trust me, it goes way farther than that, is Russia. And the only amount of land that they just so happen to take are mostly flatlands, with random ass villages being guarded by Russian reservists, by the way, which just so happen to be holding their own just fine, despite of what Western media wants to say about it. As you can see right here, despite Ukrainian forces' successful incursion into Russia's western Kursk region, they are still losing ground in their own territory in Kursk. Ukrainian soldiers on the eastern front are saying that the fighting there has anything but abated, and that they remain outnumbered and outgunned by Russian troops. I mean, why isn't this being mentioned? After capturing several villages in the area and pushing along a railway line, kind of like Ukraine and Kursk, right? Russian forces are now about 8 miles from Pokrovsk, one of Ukraine's main defensive strongholds in the Donetsk region. According to the maps, which are based on combat footage and satellite images, the same exact things that people that hype up Ukraine just so happen to be supposedly studying as well. Pokrovsk is a city with a pre-war population of about 60,000, and it sits on a key road linking several cities that form a defensive arc protecting the part of Donetsk that is still held by Ukraine. So who really has the strategic advantage? And so many people, especially in America, keep saying, oh, well, why is Russia taking so long to invade Ukraine? That is called strategic warfare. Once again, do you know how much money that Ukraine has relied on the US to send to them? And that's just Ukraine. Do you know how much money that Israel has received in the past year alone from the US? Look at Japan right now, okay? One of the US top marketing consumers. Have you seen their market? Have you seen their economy? Have you seen the issues that they're having with China right now? Which just so happens ironically being BRICS as well, just like Russia. Do you know how many billions of barrels of oil that Russia has claimed to discover, especially in the Antarctic region? Do you not know what happened with the petrodollar agreement? Do you know who the United States relies on for oil without that agreement? And do you know what would happen to Ukraine and Israel if the United States stock market just so happened to hypothetically collapse? Because just recently, we just watched it crash, and we're also in the midst of an election in the United States. So how do you think winter is going to go for Ukraine and Israel? Actually think outside the box right now, right? Do you really think the United States has the economic stability to keep backing these nations that can't defend themselves? Especially when you have US taxpayers pissed off left and right, literally on the verge of a war of their own. People in America are tired, and we don't want to fight their wars anymore. And imagine hypothetically, right, if the US dollar just so happens to fall and digital currency arises. Do you think the United States is going to have enough natural resources to be able to back up that currency? Because if you just so happen to look at the BRICS nations, they do. It is strategic warfare, and if people actually knew the truth behind Putin's invasion in quotations to begin with, you wouldn't even be looking at Putin and Russia in that way ever again. But yet you continue to do so because you have this opinion formed for you by your leaders in Western media. Leaders that just so happen to not do anything for their veterans that are homeless and lying in ditches at this very moment. I swear anybody that has an opinion about what's happening in Ukraine is a walking contradiction at this point. And you want to hype up Ukraine and America so damn bad, but yet you have no comprehension of what's actually happening to begin with. That's sad. Like I said, think outside the box. Start forming your own opinion. Start researching into matters for yourself. And then you might start to see the bigger picture in all this. But if you just so happen to think that Ukraine is going to win this war, you might want to rethink your reality.